Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our developer AMA. My name is Marty, also known as Alcatraz. I am the lead designer at Raini Studios, working on our flagship title, The Lords of Light. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Doing well, Marty. How about yourself?
I was trying to get the update that we're gone live. I missed it by like 5 seconds. So apologies to anyone who missed the first 5 seconds of the pre-recorded video we play every week. I can promise you it was the same as the previous, what, 30, 40 AMAs that we've been doing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Just look it up on YouTube. It's better there anyway. We get an increase to the view count.
exactly. Just open it like multiple times in YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And make sure you're not using ad blockers, because apparently that makes you like the devil now, apparently. Although
Yeah.
I was seeing apparently if you don't like, the YouTube changes where they're trying to block ad blockers only affect Chrome. So all the other browsers are seeing like huge uptick in downloads at the moment just because of that. So anyway, how you doing, Jess?
Yeah. Good. Thanks, mate. Just looking back through our. I've got a spreadsheet for the AMA questions. I think the first spreadsheet I've got is dated the 17th of January 23. Would that be right?
Yeah, it sounds about right. It's been probably been almost a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm good. Yep.
Have you got the questions from that AMA? That'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
blast them fast.
No, they're all in there. And when I started the summary, they go on the back of it as well. But it's are the 7 heroes we've been using going to be in the second card drop or maybe a later one? If so, what rarity are they? When RTX optimization? What is the ETA for when RTLOL card leasing renting will be available?
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway,
Some things don't change. Yeah.
that's right.
It takes a long time to build some of these things. It's yeah, all the Web3 stuff as usual. The game has come a long way since then.
Oh, massive.
But,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, but we needed the game foundations laid before we could build out the Web3 layer. Which is yeah, making good progress now. We have the RST storefront officially online on live, working as intended, sending tokens spent to combination of treasury, a burn address, and the Rainy pool contract. So we're just getting one of our devs to add buttons linking to it on rainy.io and rtlol.com now, which is exciting.
So that'll be out today, will it? Officially?
Yeah. It's already online. It has been since yesterday, but yeah, we thought we'd wait till the AMA to just announce it, and yeah, the links should be added today to make it easier to find if you didn't have it from testing.
Sure. Is the website, is that something you can let everyone know now, or you're just waiting for the links first?
No, that's yeah, it's good to go live now. So we can definitely share that, which is app.rtlol.com. Right there. I'll post this in all our socials straight after the AMA. But yeah, that should all be live. You can go on there, connect your wallets, connect to your Epic accounts, and yeah. Obviously, there's not a huge range of things in there at the moment for RST, but you'll get an idea of where we're sort of heading with that. And obviously, this was an important step for the Formations launch planned for later on this month as well.
Because that's going to be in the store, or packs are in the store?
So there will be an allocation of packs which will be available for pre-sale by RST.
Yeah.
So basically, if you do want to get packs before everyone else, RST will be the only way to do it, and that will be done through that link there as well. We'll still have our regular drop page that we do on rainy.io, where obviously you'll be able to buy packs on any of the other chains that we support, same as every other card drop that we've done.
While you're on that, RAverse in the Telegram just asked, basically, if the team is looking at the current card prices, are the prices for the new upcoming sets, I think you might have mentioned this as well, might be slightly cheaper, or have you got a price point for those new card packs?
Yeah, we're still running the numbers on where we think that would make the most sense.
Yep.
But yeah, as we mentioned on last week's AMA, that if we do adjust the pricing, then the earning and rewards through play and earn and collect and earn would be adjusted accordingly.
Sure.
We're playing around with some potential ways that we could do it where our serious collectors won't be affected. But yeah, stay tuned for that. We'll get that out to everyone as soon as we've got it locked in.
Okay, interesting. it's good to keep it all sort of balanced together. I think you did that with when we were in the golds and the chromas side of things, when a drop was coming out, to make sure that it was each one had the same sort of relative value to the others, depending on how many you had to get to create them and things like that. So that's good.
It's just, obviously, you look at the market compared to like when we dropped Genesis, that's a very different market to be in. So yeah, that's why obviously we'll need to make some changes.
Lovely. What else is happening?
Probably the other big thing, which again, there'll be a big social update going out after the AMA for this as well, is actually around prizes, both the World Championship as well as getting ready for play and earn and collect and earn systems to come online. So if you actually go to RTLOL.com and go to the player profile page, you'll now see that you've got the ability to flag which of your connected wallets is your primary wallet. That will be the wallet that gets used for any rewards to get paid out to you on chain. So basically, the reason why we've done it like that, because obviously we've got a lot of community members who have multiple wallets connected. We do have some community members who may have compromised wallets connected, because they may still have staked cards or stuff like that in them. But yeah, we want to basically ensure that you're able to go in and tell us exactly which wallet to have prizes distributed into. And yeah, we'll make sure that that's published everywhere. And as soon as people have had a chance to do that, then we'll be able to send out or we'll get Merit Circle to send out the prizes for the World Championships. Obviously, that won't include the formations packs. They'll go out a little bit later, but they will also go into those same primary wallets. So if you were one of the, I think, 2 people that didn't win prizes in Beam token, but did win formations packs, then yeah, those people still need to do that so that we can drop those packs into their accounts, or into their wallets, I should say, when that's ready to go. And this is also an important step towards getting ready to support Beam wallets as well. So again, we want to make sure we are always prioritizing our Web3 community. So this functionality basically allows us, instead of just always dropping things into the Beam wallet, which is a semi-custodial wallet. So there are some potential reasons why some people may choose not to use that wallet at all. This allows you, if you are just a Web3 native, to basically bypass the Beam wallet and use whatever ERC20 wallet you choose to use. But obviously for Web2 users coming in, we'll be able to still set up a Beam wallet for them and set that as their primary automatically in the background. So it's kind of like what we think of as the best of both worlds to support the different sort of users that we're bringing in.
Okay, whereabouts is that primary wallet selection again? Sorry.
Yeah, so if you go to RTLOL.com and click on player profile up in the top right, once you sign in with your Epic account, if you've already been on, you've got wallets linked. There's just I think the button literally just says like set primary or something.
It does, yeah, set primary.
Yep.
Okay, against whatever linked wallets you have. Okay,
yes.
Excellent.
If you remove that wallet, like if you completely unlink it, that will like remove your primary wallet. So if you do, for whatever reason, need to change wallets around or anything like that, just make sure you've always got a primary wallet set. That can even be even if you want to create a brand new wallet, maybe you want to have a brand new wallet address that you just use for say Beam and stuff like that. Obviously, just make a new wallet, connect it, and set that as your primary. It doesn't have to have any NFTs or doesn't have to have anything in there. And also keep in mind, and again, if you look in the announcements or the pinned posts in the Telegram chat, Beam does offer a faucet for Beam tokens. So if you need to actually get some Beam directly into a new wallet to use for transactions, you can do that as well, which is pretty cool thing for Beam to. I've very rarely will see that on mainnet. Faucets traditionally are very much a testnet thing, but obviously when you do migrate Raini tokens over to RST, we drop a little bit of Beam into your account for you as well. But having access to that faucet, if you want to move things around, do any staking or stuff like that, is definitely handy. And obviously with the way Beam is set up as a subnet of Avalanche, I think you get like 0.3 Beam on the faucet. Like it's a very small amount, but you don't need a lot of gas because of the way that the subnet is set up.
Yeah, very cheap. The Beam seems to be for all your operations. I was on Twitter the other. I was just saying, I was on Twitter the other day, just responding to a guy, one of the Merit Circle guys. You just had to reply to a comment and stick a picture of or just a rainbow in the comment. and I won 100,000 beam.
Oof.
Just like randomly selected out of 10, and 10 people won 100,000
Congrats.
beam. It was pretty sweet.
Nice.
Oh
Just
yeah,
yesterday. Yeah, it's great.
So
money
you
for
can pay
almost nothing.
you can pay for a lot of gas transactions now with that.
Oh yeah, I'm rich.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, like I said, the team at Merit Circle obviously, been working very hard on Beam. If you haven't had a chance to check out their recent keynote that they did, I'll link it in the chats. I think it was like a week or two ago now. It was like a horrible time for Australia, but I watched the replay of it. You get an idea of sort of the medium to long term play that Beam is making, and obviously a big part of that involves like working with developing games. And yeah, as the first game to launch on Beam, we're super happy with the progress they're making. And yeah, love working with their team to do everything we can to help make Beam a success.
You'll be experiencing. I think you experienced something else with the RST storefront. Was it an issue with the actual subnet at one point? So you're both obviously helping each other through some teething problems as you initially set these things up.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, like I said, we're in Slack channels with all of their development team. We actively help them build the SDK that a lot of other games are now using to implement Beam functionality within their own titles, whether it be Unity or Unreal and stuff like that. That particular issue we found in testing the RST storefront came down to it was actually basically how we drop you a little bit of Beam tokens across as part of the migration process for Raini. Because obviously that means we can set up our system to automatically stake the tokens for you and such, which is super easy in our migration tool that we've built. But yeah, there was just a part of their code they'd missed where because obviously when they moved everything from the Merit Circle token to the Beam token, as far as the Beam subnet was concerned, everything just got basically divided by 100, but they'd missed it in this one particular function. So it wasn't allowing us to drop enough Beam tokens in to do the migration completely. But yeah, we picked that up. There was another bug that you helped us pick up over the weekend where it just wasn't quite encoding Epic usernames correctly. So we fixed that one up as well. We've been testing that obviously alongside with the mods. So yeah, it's been good. But yeah, now that the RST storefront is here, obviously you can jump on there and buy Lux at the moment. The Rainiverse Battle Pass will be coming soon, and obviously formation packs and other like cosmetics and stuff like that. And as we've said, since we did the first like mediums announcing the RST token, obviously part of that transaction will include a burn, which is currently set to 25%, and another 25% of that purchase or transaction, I should say, minus not ignoring the gas side of things, obviously, just the actual transaction amount, will go into a separate wallet. You can track all these transactions on chain. All our contracts are on there and verified. And that will be the one that basically gets paid out to original Raini holders when it hits the threshold, which I believe was 75 million, I think. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it is 75 million.
Cool.
Which actually I think someone mentioned last week turns into that basically it requires 300 million to be spent in the store for that to be a thing, which is a significant amount, I suppose, isn't it?
Yep. It's interesting. It's a significant amount, but if we're able to develop the community and gain traction with future sets and with things like the Rainiverse Battle Pass and stuff like that, especially, and then you add mobile into the mix with an influx of users with that, it's one of these interesting situations where it's a lot, but it can also be mice nuts by comparison. So it's
also one of those things that can get priced into the token even if it's not realized. If that you're like 20% of the way to the goal, then someone with a longer term horizon can still like reflect that. It's not like it's meaningless until that threshold is reached because it's always going to be pending. So
it's just a bonus, obviously. I mean, and a nice one, obviously, for those who migrate their Raini through the RST. And something to look forward to in the future, like you say.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so yeah, there'll be a full like tweet thread going out about that later on today after the AMA. But yeah, basically, the TLDR for everyone who didn't listen to that is make sure you go to rtlol.com, log in, and set your primary wallet. It can be a brand new wallet, or it can be one that you already use, and that'll be used for prize payouts moving forward. And yeah, app.rtlol.com. All the links will be updated on all the websites soon as well. That's being done today. To jump in and check out the RST storefront.
Nice, excellent, well done.
Cool. We're probably able to just jump in any questions. There's any other sort of updates. I mean, from the dev side of things, formations is pretty much done. We're in final polish. So we're doing the little things now. So like there's some of the like on play animations where like there's one where some chariots like come through and we're adding like some FX around where they hit things and stuff like that. And like some final like audio and things like that. But the set's implemented. It's all still being tested, but it's all been fully tested at least once through. Stacey Raini is still a very interesting card. I'm really looking forward to seeing what decks are able to fully take advantage of that particular card, but we'll see how they go with that. And yeah, mobile development is traveling on nicely too. We've got the game, fully up and running on devices. We're starting to create all the assets for the app stores. We'll do a little bit of A/B testing against those, some icon work and stuff like that. But yeah, everything from both of those is definitely on track from the non Web3 development side of things.
Will the mobiles, they won't go out until all the Web3 stuff's in place?
Most likely, yeah. They're not like when I say mobile is coming along. We're still aiming for end of the year.
Sure.
Like this will not be in the next couple of weeks, definitely. So just to be very clear on that, especially when you are testing on mobile, there's a lot of things that can creep up that you need to jump on that you just can't find. So you have it running on a bunch of different physical devices. As much as we do testing, we do what's called simulated testing. So on like Apple devices, you can run through Xcode, you can run simulators. So we run the game in there. So it's just much quicker than having to deploy it out to physical devices. And we use BlueStacks for Android to do basically the same sort of thing. We do that basically to get it running nicely there. Then we start doing physical on-device testing, especially on Android across a range of devices. And that's where you'll start picking up little things like, on this particular mobile GPU, this certain effect doesn't render properly, or just little things like that. So while we're making great progress on mobile and we're still confident with our timelines, just I guess for full clarity, which I probably need to make sure we're doing this on AMAs more as we move forward so people can't misinterpret potential things around dates. We're still on target for end of the year, not anytime soon.
I mean, that makes sense. It wouldn't make sense to release the mobile versions anyway until all the Web3 stuff was in place, because I think that's going to drive a lot of the adoption, I imagine, on mobile. A lot of people are sort of picking that up and trying to earn RST here and there by doing certain things. I think that would certainly help if that's all just running smoothly in the background.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, obviously not going to rush mobile. I want to make sure we get it right. And then, obviously being on mobile opens up a lot of interesting opportunities for user acquisition and scale as well.
If formations is pretty well done, I mean, obviously there's little bits and pieces to do. Do the devs that have been working on that, do they move to somewhere else after you're happy with it's pretty well? Because I mean, obviously that's end of November-ish, that the sort of drop for that. So you've got a few more weeks away before that sort of kicks in.
So we're basically almost ready to announce the dates for formations. The only minor blocker there is we want to make sure that all the functionality for the RST side of the formations drop is ready to go. So some of the devs that were working on formations are assisting with that. Because obviously with that, there's a bit of like back end, like Epic side integration there, making sure that we've got that all hooked in correctly with Epic and Beam. But yeah, either that or the devs have moved over onto mobile. So they're working on mobile optimization, and there's a bit, the main chunk of work that's probably left on mobile outside of testing and optimization is just some work around the login and authentication flow. Just making sure that mobile users have mobile users have different expectations around what happens when you download and install an app and run an app. So we just want to make sure that we're meeting those expectations. We can do like the login seamlessly. We can still connect to an Epic account on the back end. So if that user does decide to go to desktop, or we have a desktop user who wants to also start playing on mobile, we're making sure that flow is set up and working correctly. And then there's just some minor edge cases you've got to look at, where what happens if someone has played for the past several months on desktop, they start playing for a month or two on mobile, and then they decide they want to merge accounts or move accounts and stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, cross-platform adds some interesting challenges into the mix, and that's even outside of the work we've done previously, just around making sure that the actual core experience was running well on mobile as well. It's one thing for us to say, cool, we're going to have a global community, one consolidated matchmaking, one consolidated set of like dedicated servers for everyone, when we're working with desktop and laptop environments, which are relatively stable. You add into the mix what happens when you're playing against someone who's on a train going through tunnels, and yeah, all of a sudden the complexities of just having the game work in the first place go up tenfold. So yeah, that sort of work's all been done in the past. Now we're sort of more looking at the user experience for that first time, like login and authentication flow, and just general optimizations to get the game running as nicely as we can across a wide variety of devices.
Yeah, I can't imagine the work required. My brain sort of can't think about all those different things, but I'm obviously not from the dev type space, but I just know it would be extremely complex. I recall in one of the chats, one of the guys was saying that I think his game dropped out, and it had been obviously a number of turns before he was able to reconnect it, and he reconnected successfully, and the other person was obviously still playing in the background and had reduced his health and all that sort of thing. But that sort of reconnection connectivity, as long as the other person doesn't leave,
Yep.
is really core to what you're trying to do with the mobile space too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's there's been work we've been doing, I guess, leading up to this. That even before we started, we're not officially working on mobile, but even back when we were working more targeting desktop, doing things like make sure we had the reconnection flow working, even just little things like a little reconnect pop-up becomes critical on mobile, because when you're on mobile, you may not realize that your connection has dropped out. You may be playing at home on Wi-Fi, you walk out the front door, the Wi-Fi drops out, the 4G kicks in, but that's a different connection, and we have to make sure that we're able to drop the original, reconnect the new one. The server has to accept that a brand new IP address is connecting to the game. Our cheating and verification systems have to go, hang on, well, how did this person go? Because most people, their home IP address, as far as the geolocation is concerned, is drastically different to where you physically are. I live a few hours away from Sydney, but as far as the internet is concerned, just because of the way my internet service provider works, it thinks I'm in Sydney most of the time. So if I walk out the front door, as far as the game servers are concerned, I've magically transported several hundred kilometers in a few seconds. So there's a lot of intricacies in the back end systems to make all this work. But yeah, that's obviously what the team had in the back of our minds the whole way through. We've always known that mobile was one of the big goals we wanted to drive towards. Even if there was that flight, Chris, where you and I were coming back from America, and I held up a little note saying what if we did console instead? That got shut down pretty quick, but that's similar work needs to happen. But obviously a lot of different UI UX work to get the game working on a controller. But
that got shut down because of the amount of work.
Mobile's just a much bigger market. I think it's more accessible. It's yeah.
The two don't just work together. I mean, it's a porting thing as well, is it, to get onto consoles?
It's a porting thing. There's a lot of stuff you have to do to get verified for different console platforms, stuff like that. There's whole studios that specialize in console porting work, and it's not cheap. I used to do it. It was great. Bought many ridiculous sports cars with it. But yeah, it's the work with mobile, just in general optimization, it benefits all platforms. And the work we're doing around cross-platform account management would help with console if we went down that road moving forward. the Switch probably makes the most sense. We'd probably, if we were going to test the waters with this, and this, again, just to be fully clear here, this is not us in any way, shape, or form adding anything to the roadmap or saying anything we're going to do. This is just complete hypotheticals. If we were going to look at like a Switch port, say next year as a hypothetical, we'd use Switch basically as a way of testing the waters before we devoted the resources to doing Xbox, PlayStation, Luna, or anything like that.
Is that because it's closest to a mobile type device?
Yeah, it's probably the closest in terms of like the user demographics. They'd be looking for like a TCG.
Yeah.
There are some card or deck building games that work on Xbox and PlayStation, but they're very few and far between. Monster Train or Slay the Spire, probably the most successful ones, but even them, their user base is very small compared to what they have on mobile or desktop.
Yeah, stick with mobile. Just forget the rest for now. Just focus.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, and that's I guess the other side of things as well that people just need to keep in mind. Like every time we come out and we're like, hey, this is what we're doing. Like, assume that there's 20 other alternatives that we discussed internally and shot down for whatever reason it might happen to be. Or there may be something that's a lower priority. So there's a lot of different moving pieces to running a live ops game across multiple platforms that supports both a Web 2 and a Web 3 infrastructure. And obviously we need to always make sure that we're allocating our resources in the best way possible. It's the classic thing in well, not even just game development, in product management really, where and I'll see this pop up in Telegram and thing. It's like, oh, why doesn't the team do this? It's like it's a great question. But the question you need to immediately ask afterwards is, if we're going to do that, what are we willing to deprioritize or drop as a result of that? It's easy to say, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we added in feature X as an example? But then the trade-off is, cool, are you willing to delay mobile by a fortnight for that? Are you willing to delay, the ETH, bridge work that we're doing by a fortnight? Like there's always going to be that sort of trade-off.
And I think that leads into a question we get pretty regularly about the frequency of communication in Telegram, the speed at which we're rolling things out. I think it's a pretty challenging time, not just for crypto, but the broader economy and especially the tech space in general. The amount of partners we've spoken to in Web3 specifically. We just got another notification while this AMA was happening that another person was made redundant from one of our key partners. A lot of the people we've been working with, from pretty much every organization, is having to make some tough decisions to ensure that they have the resources they need for the core functionality, and they run a very lean business. It's just one of those things where when the market is more challenging, you don't have as many resources to work with, so it's even more important that you have a good plan and a lot of intentionality to make sure that you're operating at maximum efficiency. And that means that in some cases, we have to prioritize things like the Web3 side of the equation over constant communication on Telegram. And we try to do that in a way where we have a structure with like a certain amount of time allocated to responding to questions, so that then the rest of the time we can just be heads down, focused on building and trying to get as much as possible shipped in as short a time as possible, and just prioritizing the main things. But even then, like, the studio has less resources than it would have had in a bull market, and it would be silly for us to have maintained the same number of resources going into more challenging market conditions, because it just ends up leading to a quick bankruptcy if you do something like that. So you have to really think about the longevity of the studio, the best plan for the game, and it just means that when you're in more challenging times, and you're a smaller studio, you just can't expect the same level of having every little thing exactly where you want it. That's just the unfortunate reality of the situation.
Yes, I agree 100%. And that's, any good business would do the same thing. It's just something you need to do to make sure, like you say, the longevity of the project remains viable. I mean, people, It's Your Joe just had a question in the Telegram about the team size. Will the team size increase after the Web3 rollout? is complete for the Lords of Light. Now, I think you just answered that to say, look,
Yeah, it's look, to be honest, the team size has decreased out of necessity. What would allow the team size to increase is if we have a solid renewable source of revenue coming in. So, the more success we see for the game, the more we can afford to increase the team size. But right now, it's just one of those things where if we have limited financial resources, then increasing the team size is really akin to overextending yourself, which is super risky in this sort of environment. You can wait for more favorable economic conditions, and then it's a lot easier to raise money or generate revenue. Or you can be very intentional with building things that have a high likelihood of increasing your financial resources first. Once you have the financial security, then you can afford to increase the team size. But the last thing we'd want to do is, increase the team size and then have to either make people redundant or or worse, if like we really didn't get the traction we'd need to support an increased team size. So we're intentionally quite conservative about that. Coming back to what I was just talking about before.
Yeah,
And
100%.
like to really, I guess, put it in perspective of what the conditions are like for Web3 studios at the moment. There are three organizations. I'm not going to name any names here for obvious reasons. There are three different organizations that we've worked closely with in the past 12 months, who have had redundancies and layoffs in the past week. And there are two contacts that we had been working with to try to develop. This isn't the main partnership that we're driving towards, but there've been two other smaller partnerships that we've been working on in the background. And both of my contacts at those particular organizations have since been laid off. So yeah.
Don't say that. No one will want to talk to you, Marty.
I mean, I would like to think
you're
that.
bad luck.
I'm clearly the commonality here. But no, it's just it's the nature of the current market and the current condition we're in. For what it's worth, this isn't even just a Web3 gaming thing. Across like Web2 gaming in the past couple of months, I think the number is around 6,000 people have been made redundant in that time. There was a lot of crazy growth during 2020 and 2021, and there's a bit of a right sizing sort of happening at the moment. So yeah, it is a rough time to be in gaming, regardless of whether that's Web2 or Web3. And yeah, as Chris mentioned, obviously we're going to try to do everything we can to make sure that we're making the right decisions. We're going to look after the staff, the team that we have, and make sure that the decisions we're making, the work that we're doing, is all done with the goal of long-term viability of the game and the studio.
Excellent. I appreciate that. I mean, I do. It's not just game. It's everything globally.
Yeah.
If you ever watch my tweets, I mean, governments are doing a bad job everywhere in the world. Really. I mean,
not to mention here in Australia at 2:30 this afternoon, we're probably going to get hit with another 50 points, I reckon.
Yeah.
50. Wow. Yeah.
I reckon it's going to be 50 because they keep doing 25 and it's not doing what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to just pull the trigger and make it hurt.
Yeah. So when interest rates are like going from 0.1% to 5-6% in the space of like a year and a half, that really eats into funding, and especially in like gaming, sure, but that's a subsector of technology. Technology companies, by their very nature, are heavily reliant on liquidity flows, and so that's why we're seeing even like the industry giants do layoffs, like some of the huge tech companies. I know, like again in Australia, Atlassian has had to do a bunch of restructures, which was like the golden child. It's just the sign of the time. So what were you going to say, Monty? Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, it's insane when we're in a condition right now where I can get like just a savings account with 5% interest. Like that is a very different market condition to where we were for probably the past decade. Like it wasn't even just like during the pandemic, even before that. Like you could just get money for like whatever you wanted. It was insane. And yeah,
But
obviously a lot of
The financial planner in me wants to remind everyone that you need to assess the real return. So if inflation is 5% and you're getting 5% interest, your actual return is zero.
Yeah.
It's nominally 5, but in reality, your purchasing power decreases by the same amount. So yeah, it's just it's an interesting time we're in at the moment, and it changed so rapidly. Again, potentially due to what you're talking about, Ray. Just some
Yeah.
interesting decisions over the last few years. Yeah.
Um, so unrelated to this, but just, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of our community, if they're involved heavily in Web3, are interested just generally in various forms of, speculation and markets and investing. There's a YouTube channel called Alpha Investments. They focus heavily on collectibles. And he did a video this week actually, talking about like bankruptcy and having to buy whole like game stores out and stuff like that. But just some of the numbers he's throwing around of boxes of like old Magic cards that during the pandemic would go for 10,000, and now he can't even sell them for 2,000. Just stuff like that. Like just there are whole outside of Web3 stocks, like the more established markets. There's whole industries of collectible like trading and speculating there that are just getting completely wiped out in some regards. Um, yeah, if you follow luxury watches and stuff like that, like that's a bloodbath at the moment. It's insane, some of the prices there as well. Anyway, that's not financial
Yeah,
advice.
I
Do your
think
own
this
research.
is starting
Yeah,
to get a bit depressing now. Maybe we should change the subject back to all the
yeah,
cool shit we're building.
yeah.
Formations looks really good. Like I think
Mm.
Yeah.
we've done pretty much almost all the on play animations as well. I think we're at like 11 out of 14 done. We're just finishing the last few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Stacey Rainey's the big one we're doing a second pass on, and we've got to do a pass on Stacey's emote system as well. So we've actually built out the ability for cards themselves to have emotes, similar to like what your players will have. So there will be games where Stacey just sits there and trolls you, and like emotes at the opponent and just basically just gives them shit. So
Right.
yeah, it's definitely it's definitely evolving into just a very fun card to have on the board, which is the whole goal. Like it's it's a game. It should be fun.
Does
But
your
yeah,
lady know about this sort of relationship that's going on here, Marty?
she doesn't watch these AMAs, thankfully. So yeah.
Turning into an
Marty, what are you
RTLOL
doing in
weeb.
there? Nothing.
Mm,
Just talking to Stacy.
mm.
Yeah, it was Marty who insisted we change the card art because horse was a little bit too far, like the unicorn side. So it's a lot more humanoid and attractive now.
Yeah, most definitely.
Can I just say though, I'm just going to pull it up on the screen here as well. Can I just say the art team did an amazing job on, like, I know
Yeah,
a
looks
couple
pretty
weeks
cool.
back on one of the AMAs we went through like all the formations art, and I
Mm.
know I said it there and I'll say it again now. Like the art team just does brilliant work, um, given the time frames and given you know we're not Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast or the Pokemon Company. Like we don't have hundreds of artists working on products like this. So yeah, just a huge shout out to the art team. Um, they they absolutely deliver every single time. So yeah.
Excellent. Well done. Yeah, definitely. All the things you're working on in the background with regard to mobile and the optimization of the thing, they'll all, those skill sets just port across to the next games that come, like if Lords of
Yeah,
Chromatica,
absolutely. Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Um, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, getting a game running well, like optimization in itself is just a very valuable skill set for any developer to have. And it's one of those things. Good optimization, understanding where to look, understanding how to fix various issues that can crop up in any software product, but specifically in the context of gaming, um, is a talent, and one that transcends platforms. It also transcends game engines. If obviously we've made no secret of it. The Lords of Light is built in Unity. We spoke on an AMA recently about some of the interesting decisions that Unity made in their attempt to bend over the industry. So theoretically, if we were to look at other game engines, like I don't know if you can think of any off the top of your head, maybe. But if we were to look at that, a lot of the skills there do directly sort of port over, pun intended. Especially on the mobile front, because most game engines actually will just when you build for say iOS, and Android can do this as well. They actually don't build like an IPA file, like the finished product. They actually build out like an Xcode project that you bring into Xcode. You can then do a further layer of optimization. That's a really great way if you need to integrate specific like SDKs or ad networks or stuff like that. And then you actually build it out through Xcode and deploy it to test flight or to the App Store from there. So again, the skills that the team have and they are obviously developing in the process of working on RTLOL will be valuable skills for any product they work on, such as future titles.
Cool. One of the we had an issue. I think the game went down. I think around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning or something. Just recently, just a couple of people were just asking about what happens when this game is global, mobile, played everywhere. Obviously, if that's once that's happened, you'll have more resources anyway. But what do you do in the future to get that back up and running quicker?
Yep.
We're all asleep.
Yeah. There's two things you do there. One is you hire in other time zones. So if we get to the point where the game is going well enough that we can expand the team, then yeah, obviously in addition to we currently have like team members based in the US, we'd add some European time zones in there as well. So yeah, that's definitely something we would do. We'd also, if we were at the stage where we were scaling at that level, we would also, because if you are scaling heavily, especially on mobile, that is the sort of thing where time is money, and the game being down for any length of time would be considered unacceptable. Then yeah, we would set up procedures in place where theoretically certain community members or that would have phone numbers, or there'd be ways to wake up people on an ad-needed basis. And again, depending on levels of scale, you can also just get to the point where we would have like Australian team members working the night shift, basically, if that was an issue. The other thing we can do though is we can just fix the problem in the first place, so that the issue we've been having recently doesn't happen. We've identified what the actual issue is. It's basically there's occasionally the system we use to talk between two of our backend systems doesn't work as intended, which basically means that you log into the first system, but it's unable to then log into the second, and we need both those systems enabled for the game to work correctly. So it just basically stops you logging in at that point. We've identified ways to potentially fix that. It's not as quick of a fix as just like flicking a switch and changing something over. Actually, no, sorry. The fix is flicking a switch and it changes something over. But because of that, we need to make sure how we're handling a lot of player data changes on the back end. Specifically, leaderboards and decks are the two things that we're looking at, making sure they're handled correctly, so that when the new authentication flow goes between those two backend systems, it's able to work. The team is working on that now, in addition to the other stuff we're prioritizing. So we're hoping to be able to roll that out relatively quickly. And then from there, yeah, we shouldn't have these sort of issues. It's actually the same issue that caused the duplicate leaderboard issue like a month ago that we fixed as well. So it's one of those things where, again, when you've got multiple back-end systems that all have to talk to each other, when you've got a mixture of Web 2 databases, on-chain assets that all need to just seamlessly come together and work for a global community, yeah, sometimes you can run into issues like these. But yeah, we've identified the issue. We know what the fix is, but we can't just flick the switch. We need to actually make sure we have other systems fixed, or not fixed, but changed to support the new way of doing things. So we're working on that now.
Okay. Cool.
I'm not going to give an ETA, because even when I give ETAs on these AMAs, they're considered gospel. But it is being dealt with as a matter of priority.
Sure. I mean, it wouldn't obviously happen very frequently by the sounds. It's only...
And that was the problem in actually nailing what the actual problem was. Because we couldn't replicate the problem in our development or our staging environments, which makes it really hard when to figure out what it is. We needed to be looking for it when it was happening. And unfortunately,
I think it was 4 a.m. last time it happened. So yeah, that's not really realistic for us. And it was only like 15 minutes that it was an issue for. So yeah. But anyway, we identified it in the end. That's positive.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be getting that fixed ASAP. I mean, the issue may just not pop up again. That's the other annoying part of this, is that we might fix a problem that just, because of maybe some changes that our backend providers have made in certain areas, maybe don't come up again. But it's either way, we'll fix it. Because yeah, obviously we want to make sure that the game is able to be played and enjoyed at any time of day.
Excellent. With the RST storefront now online, what's the next priority, or what you're working on? Is it more of the RST stuff in the front thing, or we pushing hard on the ETH
Yeah.
RST pool?
So the two priorities now with the storefront online is getting the Rainiverse Battle Pass online as well through the storefront, which shouldn't take as long because we've got like a lot of the core functionality built out. There's just a little bit of complexity there that we've been working on for a while and finding a solution. And then the ETH bridge is definitely a top priority for us. We've already started getting our Web3 devs working towards the ETH bridge. It is mostly front end work, and it's not going to be too like overbearing. I don't think it's going to take long to get it online. But yeah, just building all the front end side of the equation is going to be the main thing there, because we've already done this sort of thing multiple times over, including very recently. It's basically the same on the Web3 side technology that allows people to migrate their Rainy to RST, just kind of in reverse and without swapping a token. So yeah, that's definitely a top priority for us now. We hear you guys. I think there's a lot of benefits that get opened up by bridging to ETH, including one of the centralized exchange providers that Jamison's been speaking to. That's a requirement for them. I think a lot of them kind of need that presence on a bigger chain. So yeah, that's going to be a top priority for us from here.
So when that bridge is in place, people will be able to port their RST back to ETH if they wanted to, and would that also mean that they could stake it on ETH again?
Yeah, that's the plan. We're going to do like a staking pool on ETH to encourage liquidity provision there to try to beef that up, and earn RST, unicorns, and rainbows. We may actually do like a bonus rate of unicorn and rainbow earning for ETH specifically, just to encourage liquidity provision there. But yeah, you'll basically be able to do it on both Beam and ETH.
Excellent. Okay, so it's like we used to have, I suppose, with ETH bindings.
Yeah, just basically swapping BNB for Beam, which I think is a much better chain for the long run, but it's still got some of the functionality being built for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the best of both worlds. You've got the new evolving chain that we're going to be solidly registered on, and then for buying and selling and all that sort of stuff, ETH is obviously extremely popular.
Yeah, the
so
OG.
Exactly. Enables people to get it easily and quickly, and most people know how to do that on ETH, which is great, even though the gas fees are ridiculous. But I don't know.
Yeah, the gas fees between Beam and ETH will be very interesting to compare. But I suppose ETH just caters to a different demographic. It's definitely the people who prioritize security and visibility over saving every penny. So but then some people, obviously Beam is a much better proposition, because if it's a lot of money for them, the gas, it can add up very quickly, especially in terms of like high network activity on ETH. So it's good to have both online.
Yeah, indeed. Excellent. All right. There was just one RAverse just sort of mentioned. He wonders why the AMAs are always around the same time, that we get way more interaction at other time zones. But obviously, we are based in Australia. It is what it is during the day.
You won't get as interesting answers from Chris and myself at 2:00 in the morning, basically.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, the reason why we have them on YouTube is that it's very easy to watch the videos back. If there's any comments, feedback from that, obviously we're always active on socials, whether it be X, whether it be Telegram, whether it be Discord.
And submit the answers, the questions in advance, and then Ray does an incredible job of summarizing the video AMAs in text form if you don't have time to sit through a 1 hour video. You can always put it on like 1.5 or 2x playback speed as well if you watch it after the fact. Maximum efficiency.
I sound pretty good as a chipmunk, actually.
I think you might have a better chance with Stacy if you fully transition to chipmunk.
Digital Marty.
Yeah, I'm gonna just leave that joke there. Cool. Was there any other questions, Ray, or was that pretty much?
No, not really. That's just Make Me Rich just sort of mentioned in the chat, I suppose, about just seeing more information about game usage and stats and things like that. But I just, in the chat, I just advised them that at some point you guys will put together a medium with a lot of interesting information and things like that. Maybe a bit of a breakdown, like you said, from the World Cup, but also maybe some game stats and usage and all that sort of stuff would be interesting. So that was it, really, apart from that.
Cool. Yeah, I think we touched on that last week as well.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, definitely. I think the next medium, it makes sense to just have it be more focused on some of the highlights of like the numbers or analytics. So cool.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic.
Cool. And yeah, just in case there's anyone that just tunes in for the end bit, yeah, make sure you go onto rtlol.com, click on player profile and set your primary wallet, and check out the new RST storefront at app.rtlol.com.
Sorry, we just want to say, if you don't set the primary wallet, what will happen? Will it still go somewhere or not really?
No, we won't send out prizes.
Okay, so you have to
rewards.
set a primary wallet at some point. I'll put that in the notes too.
Yeah, basically, because we know there are users who have connected compromised wallets, so we can't assume that we can send prizes to any wallet that you have connected through the RTLOL player profile page.
Yes.
So yeah, if you don't have a primary wallet set, I say it can be a brand new wallet. You can literally just go grab some Beam out of the faucet and set up a brand new wallet for it if you like. But yeah, if you've not actively gone in and set a primary wallet, we will not be sending you any rewards, whether it be World Championship or play and earn, collect and earn, etc.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Excellent. All right, thanks, fellas. Have a good week if you're going.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Ray.
All right, cheers.
Catch you all later.
Yeah.